Morning guys, welcome back to Raver's Read and welcome back to yet another video that is being shot in my tack room because I don't know if you can hear that at the moment, but it is chucking it down out there. It's absolutely disgusting once again. I had hoped to shoot this video as like a hacking and chatting style video just because it's a little bit more interesting when I'm doing like chatty vlogs. It's just more interesting if we're out riding when we're doing it rather than me like sat in here like we're doing today. But honestly, it's blowing a gale, it's chucking it down with rain. It's not going to be a nice ride for a start. And then on top of that, the audio is going to get trashed by the wind and you're going to end up with water all over the lens, which I don't know about you guys, but it bugs the hell out of me when there's water on the lens. It just looks so annoying. So yeah, I've opted to do this video in here today. So what we're going to be covering today is kind of like goals for the next year. And also just kind of like reflecting on this year, because a lot's gone on this year, a hell of a lot. So I hope it's not too dark in here actually. It is really quite dark in here today, so hopefully it's not too dark. I mean, I do have lights up there, but they don't make that much difference in like daylight time, if that makes sense. But anyway, not gonna worry about that. It is what it is, we're going for it. So yeah, 2024, let's start with 2024 this year. Oh my goodness, what a year. So we've gained a lot of subscribers over the course of this year, so some of you will kind of know a lot of this stuff that's gone on and some of you might not be aware of some of the stuff that's gone on this year. But basically this year has ended up nothing like what we were planning for it to be. So this year was supposed to be like a really good showing year. Tia's decided to come and join me. Hello, sweet pea. Oh, she's really wet and cold. Oh. But yeah, this year is nothing like what we thought it was going to be. So we had plans for this year of basically taking Blue to some higher level showing and really focusing on like ridden showing with him. So we've done loads of in-hand showing with him. He's done really well at that. He's done a little bit of ridden showing, but obviously the problems with his feet have made that difficult in the past. Quite often in the past we would find that we'd kind of get into a routine with schooling him and then I'd have to back off a little bit because a big chunk of his hoof would break off and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And so that's always been a little bit hit and miss. So, oh my God, it's so wet out there now, it's minging. Just going to ignore it, just going to, hopefully you guys can hear me. Yeah, it's been very like on and off, very hit and miss with Blue. But you know, we were kind of doing the best with the knowledge we had at the time, and our goals for 2024 were to take him out and do some more ridden showing with him. Obviously that got completely blown out of the water, so we had a mystery lameness with him very, very early on in the year. I think it was around the time we had one of our first outings booked. I think I planned to take him to Burrows or something like that, hadn't I? And yeah, he ended up lame, so we didn't do that. And then he kind of came back right again. And I just started bringing him back into work back in the summer, and then he had an injury to his heel bulb. He managed to split his heel bulb open really, really deeply, really, really deeply. That was horrible. Did not enjoy that at all. So then he had another month or so off for that. And then just as I was about to bring him back into work after that incident, I mean, I think I rode him once. I think I got on him once. And then he went down with laminitis, which was probably partly happened because of the fact that he'd been out of work all year. I don't think he's ever been out of work for that long before, but because of the mystery lameness and then the hoof bulb issue, like he was out of work for basically the whole year, and I think that definitely contributed to the whole laminitis thing. So yeah, that kind of got blown out of the water. So that was Blue completely out of the running for the whole year. But it kind of like had a flip side to it, because while we didn't get to go out into the showing stuff, it kind of pushed us down a road that we were kind of half on, but we had some serious gaps in our knowledge and our understanding, and I feel like actually what happened this year was kind of a good thing in a weird ass backwards messed up kind of way. So you know that when that thing happens, when you have a plan and everything keeps going wrong and the universe is just shoving you in a completely different direction. And then you finally go along with the universe and you go in that direction. And it's like, oh yeah, okay, actually this way was probably the better way to go. I feel like we've had that this year. So we were like pushing and pushing, trying to get him out to all these shows, and we really wanted to do all that. And the universe is like screaming at us. It's like, no, you need to deal with his feet before you do that. And eventually it's like we've had to deal with his feet because he went down with laminitis, because he came in on box rest. I then went down this massive rabbit hole of trying to learn more about the hoof and hoof care and how to deal with the post-laminitis care and all of that. And then I learned that there was this big like crossover between laminitis and hoof wall separation, like Lyme disease, all of that kind of stuff. And I ended up gaining a lot of knowledge that I otherwise would not have gained, because I went into like obsessive research mode and I found a lot of information that I hadn't come across before. Like I've kind of researched it before, but I really researched it this time. I really went into some weird and wonderful places on the internet. And I think it's paid off, because Baloo's feet are looking better now than they've looked, I think, ever. Like they're looking really, really good. And that wouldn't have happened if he hadn't have gone down with laminitis, because if he hadn't gone down with laminitis, I wouldn't have gone down that rabbit hole of research, and then we wouldn't be where we are now. And honestly, I don't think his feet in the condition that they were previously in would have held up to the amount of ridden work that we really wanted to do with him this year. So I kind of feel like we were kind of like shooting in the dark a little bit. We were just pushing in the wrong direction. I don't think it was going to happen. But yeah, boy, the universe really had to scream at me to you know, get me to listen to that. But I feel like we're in a good place with him now. My hope was to get back on him before Christmas, but with the weather being the way it is, and him having been out of work for so long, I'm kind of hoping for a nicer day to do it on. He hates going out in the rain anyway. His skin gets really sensitive to rain. He had like, what's it called, rain scald really badly when we got him. So I don't know if he's got skin that's sensitive to it, or if he's like psychologically sensitive to it because he had that really bad rain scald as a youngster. But he hates going out in the rain. He's going to be fresh as anything, so the wind's not going to help. So I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe in the next couple of weeks I might get back on him, but I think I'm going to be taking it a lot steadier than I was planning for anyway. And as for next year with him, I really don't know what my plan is at this point. I know what I would like my plan to be. I would like my plan for next year to be kind of what this year's plan was, to get him out and do loads of like ridden showing. So our ultimate goal really was to get him to Traditional of the Year show, get him into one of the like classes that you have to qualify for. So that's kind of like always on the back of my mind. But then at the same time, I'm thinking, do I really want to be setting goals like that? Because I don't want to like undo all of the hard work we've done with his feet. But then on the flip side of that again, by the time we get to the summer and we're going to be like really upping his schooling and everything, he would have had like a good solid year on this new hoof care routine. And hopefully all of that white Lyme disease will be gone, and hopefully all of the subsequent hoof wall separation will be gone. So I don't know, I'm really like, I don't know. I think I need to keep those goals kind of like on the back burner in the back of my mind, and kind of like quietly work towards them, but not push too hard towards them, and definitely not get my hopes up about any of it, because, you know, obviously he has had laminitis now as well, which puts him at higher risk of having it again. So I don't know, next summer could end up being a replay of this summer. I just don't know, really. Hope it won't be, but you just never know. So yeah, that's kind of like always on the back of my mind. We're still aiming towards that toys thing. I feel like I want to step it up with Woody a little bit next year. So I'm quite pleased with how he's done this year, actually. He's done really, really well. So I've really been like wussing out when it comes to getting Woodster back in full work. I think partly because it's Woodster and he can be very difficult. I mean, you saw the comment the judge gave at that dressage test on the weekend, tactfully ridden. You do have to be very tactful when you're riding Woody and when you're trying to train him, because he's just this weird combination of like slow, lazy, derpy away with the fairies, and also incredibly explosive, throws massive hissy fits, rodeos, and tries to throw you off. He's kind of like both of those things which can make it difficult. I'm not gonna lie, it can make it difficult. And I know what he can do. He has had me off several times. I know what he can do. And it just, I don't know, I think it's a combination of me being nervous of like asking too much of him and it blowing his mind and him going into rodeo mode. And also I think I was still a little bit scared of breaking him. But I mean, we have upped the work a little bit. He's nowhere near the level of work he was in, like, in the past. Like, we still haven't been doing a ton of hill work with him. I think I'm still a little bit scared of hill work. But the work that he's been doing, like, he has shown no signs of lameness whatsoever, no signs of I can't speak, shown no signs of discomfort or resistance or reluctance or anything like that. So I think his leg is good. Like, it's been a good 2 years now, so I would hope that anything that was going on with it has resolved itself. But I don't know, you've just always got that thing in the back of your head. Like, I'm forever now going to have a worry in the back of my head about Blue with laminitis. And I think I'm going to forever have a worry in the back of my head about Woody going lame on that front right again. So you just kind of got to, like, manage that as I bring him back into more work. I would definitely want to get some more competitions done with him. So I was having a little look at maybe booking in some more dressage next month. So they usually do like one unaffiliated dressage a month throughout the winter. So that could be a good goal for Woody, get him out to another intro test. I would like to do that. And I think I finally nailed the saddle issue. I think. For now, anyway, until he changes shape again, because, oh my goodness, he's changed shape so much this year. He's actually built a lot of top line back up, which is really good, but it's been a nightmare for me getting a saddle to fit him. So yeah, that's been another interesting learning curve of the year, actually. So I've learned a lot about hoof health and hoof care, and I've also learned an awful lot about saddle fit this year. Oh my goodness. So I had a basic knowledge of saddle fit prior to this year. I could tell you if a saddle fitted or if it didn't fit. I couldn't go into like a ton of detail about why it was a good fit or why it was a bad fit, but I could, I could look at a saddle and do a quick assessment and be like, there's no way in hell I'm riding it, that does not fit that horse, or yeah, that works, we'll go with that and see how we go. Like, I had that level of understanding. But I've had to learn a lot more about that, because trying to get a saddle to fit Woody has been an exercise in frustration, and I've been forced to broaden my understanding of various saddle fit issues in order to come to a resolution that's allowed us to get a saddle to fit him and stay where it's supposed to stay. So he's gone through a lot of saddles this year. A lot of saddles. We tried him in the treeless for a while. That worked for a little while, and then he changed shape, and then that kept sliding back on him, so that didn't work. He's now wearing the new saddle that I got for Blue, which was also slipping back a little bit, not as badly as the treeless saddle was. And I've since realised that I don't want to call it a saddle pad problem, because it's technically not a saddle pad problem. It is technically a gullet fit problem. But what I've concluded is that he needs a gullet in between the two available gullet sizes that are there. It's the only way I can explain it. So by using a slightly thicker saddle pad on him, I've resolved the issue of the saddle moving. Now, it does still slide back a teeny tiny bit, which I think it's always going to do because of his shape. When I look at photos of him as a youngster, his saddle always ended up sliding back to that position. It may well be that that's just where the saddle wants to sit on him, but to my eye, it does look a little bit further back than I would want it. But then again, on the flip side, like, people do have a habit of putting saddles too far forward. I've learned a lot about that this year as well. Apparently that is a common problem, that a lot of people put saddles way too far forward on their horses. And obviously he's got a massive shoulder, so if you put a saddle too far forward on him, that shoulder is just going to push that saddle back, which it does if you put it too far forward. So yeah, anyway, I think by using a slightly thicker saddle pad and a different girth, we have resolved the issue for now. Now, I don't know how long this is going to last, because like I said, he keeps changing shape. So I might have to tweak it again over the next few weeks or the next month or so. But I feel like I have a lot more knowledge and understanding of saddle fit now. So instead of instead of doing what I've done in the past and having an absolute meltdown and panicking because it's like, oh my God, the saddle doesn't fit and I don't know how to fix it, I feel like I can look at a saddle on him now and be like, oh yeah, he's changed shape here and that's doing X, Y, or Z to the saddle. So if I adjust this or tweak this or do a different saddle pad here, there, or whatever, I can fix that. And I have that confidence now that I can fix it rather than it being like, oh, I need to go get a new saddle or I need to get a saddle fitter out, which obviously with the amount of times this horse changes shape would cost me an absolute fortune. I can't afford to get a saddle fitter out every 3 or 4 weeks. That's insane. So yeah, that's been a steep learning curve, but a good one. I think I've learned some valuable skills there. And yeah, I think with Woodster, I just really want to keep gradually increasing his workload. I really want to get him back out doing some ridden showing next year. And I'm being really careful not to set like overly specific goals. Like there are shows that I really want to go to, like specific shows, but I don't want to set my heart on it because, I don't know, we just keep having problems and I don't want to focus my whole year on something that might not actually happen. Like this year, I mean, this year we achieved none of our riding goals at all. We did, however, get the stables completely refurbished, which was a good thing. I don't think the building would have survived Storm Dara had we not refurbished it. And I also don't think that the stable the Blue lives in would have survived him being in it on box rest for however many months he was on box rest in the previous condition that it was in, because it was in such bad condition. So I suppose that was kind of a good thing, because if we'd been out busy running around doing all these shows, I probably wouldn't have put as much time and effort into fixing up the stables as what we did. Like, I knew it needed doing, but because we had the time, because we weren't doing other stuff, it was kind of like we really went to town on it and we really did it properly. And honestly, I don't know if we would have done that, like I said, if we were out doing all the shows every weekend, because we just wouldn't have been around as much. So I don't know, I feel like that was kind of the universe pushing us in a direction that I didn't really want to go in, but needed to go in, because thankfully now we've got, well, touch wood anyway, we've got quite a sturdy building. Like, there's a few little bits that need doing on it. I still haven't secured that roof panel over the back in Blues, which I can hear banging a little bit now, actually. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but just for the sake of me feeling happier about it, I would rather we put an extra few screws in it just to stop it banging. If nothing else, because it's bloody annoying, but also because there's just that risk of the wind getting under there. So yeah, that was an interesting little way that the universe pushed us down that road. And it's just happened lots this year, really, hasn't it? Like, I feel like it's definitely been a year of learning and not competing, is like the best way I can put it, because I said we had all these goals and they got completely blown out of the water, but actually what we've ended up doing instead and what I've ended up learning instead has actually been really valuable. So I don't know, maybe I feel like it did turn out to be a good year. It's been a difficult year, but I think it has turned out to be a good year. So yeah, that's kind of like my thoughts on the year. It has been a difficult year. It has been a year of learning, but it has been, I think, overall a good year. Just not the year that I thought it was going to be is all, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. As for next year, like I said, I'm a bit nervous of making any solid plans because, well, there's no such thing as a solid plan for a start, as 2024 has taught us. And to be fair, as 2020 taught us as well. Like, COVID definitely taught us that nothing is set in stone. Everything can get blown out of the water in the blink of an eye. And so, yeah, I don't really know. I mean, like I said, I want to get Woody back up to doing some low-level ridden shows. I'd like to get him back up to prelim. With Blue, I would absolutely love to get him back out to some shows, specifically ridden shows. I don't know if that's going to be reasonable to ask of him. It's going to depend what his feet look like in 2 to 3 months' time. Hopefully they'll continue to improve, but I'm not gonna take that as a guaranteed thing. Like, they might not improve. We might have a backtrack, and like I said, he might end up going down with laminitis again in summer. I very much hope he won't. We're going to try our best to manage him. Part of his management plan is obviously going to involve exercise. We need to get him out doing exercise. One of the things the vet said that is going to be really good for him is getting him out doing like high intensity trot work. If we can get his respiration up, get him sweating, get him out of breath, that's really going to help in his laminitis management. But obviously that kind of exercise is entirely dependent on whether or not his feet can cope with that type of work. So it's all kind of like everything's hanging on something else, and it's so frustrating, but we're just going to have to go for it and see what happens. Another thing I really want to do, actually, I really want to get Stumps out next year to do some more showing. It's so fun going out with Hillary, doing the Shetland Pony show. Like, we've had judges say to us before that we should take Stumps to Shetland Pony shows, obviously when she's in like better condition, not in scruff bag winter mess mode like she was when we went out with Hillary. But she's had some really nice comments off judges before, and I don't know, I feel like it would be fun to take her out. And she's a veteran now, so she can do veteran classes. Maybe take her out, do some more Shetland Pony shows. I'm not going to lie, I quite like the idea of doing more fancy dress with her as well. That was ridiculous, but it was really fun. And maybe do some more driving stuff with her. I really enjoy driving that pony. And I feel like if we could find some type of like competitive event to take her to in her car, it would give me a bit of like motivation to keep going with it, because I like to have some kind of event planned to motivate me, especially on days like today. Like when you're having cruddy weather or you're feeling a bit pants, which I've been feeling very pants for the last week, to be fair, or you just not feeling it. Like when you have something on the calendar, like you have a date where you know you have to turn up and perform to a certain level and you're going to be judged, it kind of like motivates you to push through those like less nice days, especially at this time of year. So yeah, I feel like maybe I need to pick out a couple of dates for Stumps. I'm not going to pick out anything like that for Nelly. I think I just want to take Nelly out and have some fun. Like, she is not a show pony, bless her. I've tried it in the past. She hates it. She struggles with the schooling. She really does. But I do need to get her... I need to work on her top line, actually. So I do have a goal for Nelly, but it's kind of like just more general. Like, we're not going to be going out competing, but I do want to build up her top line. I want to get her a bit stronger, and I want to get back out doing some like more longer hacks with them. I feel like all of my hacking this year has been kind of like short hacks. Well, they're not short hacks. They're like good hour and a half hacks, but we're not going to the fun places. Like, I want to go up the woods. I want to go on the super long rides. I want to go all through the fields. And most of those rides are like a good 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So I do need to up the fitness for them and me in order to do those rides. But yeah, I really want to get back to doing those kinds of rides on a regular basis. It's frustrating because you kind of, I don't necessarily want to do those long rides every time, but like maybe once or twice a month, it would be worth trying to like push ourselves to do that, just to keep their fitness up there. So when I do fancy it, they're fit enough to do it. Because like this weekend, obviously, I don't really want to go up there now because it's miserable and windy and I don't trust those trees up in the woods when it's like this. But I really fancied going up the woods with Nelly this weekend. And I thought, well, actually, I don't know if that's the best idea because she hasn't been up there for probably a month and a bit. She hasn't been doing an awful lot of hill work. And so I don't really know if it's fair to ask her to go up there and do that kind of ride at the moment because she's not like mega fit for it. Like she's quite trotting fit. We have been working on her cardio, obviously for the Boxing Day hunt meet. But she's not like hill work fit, she's not canter fit, and so I don't know, I feel a bit mean asking that of them when we don't do it on a regular basis. So I need to get these things back on a regular basis. And actually just thinking on the topic of the Boxing Day hunt meet, I actually don't know if we're going to be going to that now or not. So Mum is adamant that if it's bad weather, she is not going, and I don't blame her because it's just been minging out here lately. Like I'm kind of done with doing outdoor stuff at the moment because it's just that minging. And then I kind of thought to myself, well, okay, if she doesn't want to ride her, maybe I will. But then again, I'm like kind of in the same boat with her with the bad weather thing. So it's really bad, but it's just so minging out here at the moment. And the other thing that popped into my head, if I decided to take her, like if Mum decides she doesn't want to go and I thought like I could do it. The other thing I was thinking about was, I'm not overly confident riding in big groups like that. And so I don't know. Like I said, I've not been feeling great for the last week. I don't have a ton of energy, so I don't know if I could handle a very excited Nelly in a very large group bombing around the high street. I just don't know, but we've got a few days. The weather might sort itself out. I'm not going to hold my breath, to be honest, because, I mean, today was supposed to be sunny and overcast and dry, and it's blowing a gale and raining, and it's freezing cold, so I don't know. We'll see what we get when we get there. But yeah, other than that, I'm trying to think of other goals I want to set for next year. I don't feel like I've actually set any actual goals. I feel like I've got vague directions in which I want to go, which is a good thing, but I don't feel like I've set any actual goals. It's just really bad. But I don't know, it's like every time I set a goal, the universe comes along and is like, no, you're not doing that, you're doing this instead. And then I feel really bad because I didn't achieve my goal. And then I get really mixed feelings because we end up doing other stuff which turns out to be okay instead. And I'm like, okay, maybe I don't need like a solid goal. Maybe I just need like a vague direction to aim for. And then we'll just figure out little goals as we go, maybe. I don't know. It's really bad, isn't it? Oh. Anyway, I've waffled at you guys for ages now. But yeah, that's kind of what the plan is for next year. Maybe try and pick up where we were hoping 2024 was going to go with the showing. I just want everyone to be sound and healthy and fit and looking good and feeling good. Like if I can get that out of 2025, like if we can get all the horses back to peak fitness, get everyone looking beautifully muscled, beautifully conditioned, healthy, strong, fit enough to go up and do the hill rides, and well enough, like physically and mentally, to go out and do a show if we wanted to. Like if I could get them all to that point, then I'm calling 2025 a win. That is more than enough. And then I feel like anything on top of that, like anything competitive on top of that or anything extra on top of that is like a bonus. But I feel like I just want them all like sound and fit and happy. Like I feel like that's a good goal. That's probably the best kind of goal you could have, to be fair, isn't it? But anyway, I've just looked at my little screen on the front there. I've been waffling at you guys for a long time now. So if anybody is stuck around this long while I'm sat in my dark, dingy tack room on a wet, rainy day, then thank you very much for sticking around. And also, I almost forgot, we hit 2,000 subscribers this weekend, which is awesome. I feel like the second 1,000 came a lot quicker than the first 1,000. That much I will say, but that's awesome. Thank you very much for that, guys. Really appreciate that. And yeah, I'm going to go and muck out my stables now and get really cold and wet. Not looking forward to it, but it's got to be done.